you have no higher yeah, try it out. Yeah.
How many rounds? That's 15 rounds. How many rounds? Between game 1 6.
That's a pretty good roll.
Woo!
Wow.
That is some legacy right there.
Yeah.
Almost.
9.
That's still good.
I will
You
play.
got it. Okay. Not dredge this time. That's good to know.
See, the nice thing about this deck, though, is like it plays red spells. Red has
Oh, did you cut?
sideboard
Oh, you're good.
options, whereas green, you can just
You're gonna be making a buy a bit more in the summer. How's that work?
Yeah. So, well, Fridays are way easier for me to get to than
And Wednesdays.
Wednesdays. So if this continues, then I will be here more often for sure. I mean, it was the end of the school year, so I had a bazillion things to do. But that's and then after the end of the school year, I had the beginning of the sailing season because I run a sailing school.
Otherwise, if Matt loses it, it would be a disaster. Yeah.
Really close. And I could just go YOLO.
I'm gonna mull. Not enough going on in that one.
I feel bad because I feel like you're choppy, so I'll let you try and get a response from the brain. Crap card, and then
It's really not. Ugh. Just thinking through the possibilities there. A double LED, Lotus Petal, Ponder. Like if I crack LEDs in response, what can I hit that's just sick?
three Tarmogoyf. Go.
That sounds risky.
Super risky. But because of what was in my hand, I couldn't really think of even like a lot of great scenarios. Like there wasn't any insta deaths because the ad nauseum was in my hand.
So that wasn't gonna get you there.
So. The deck can do wonders on 5 even. So
Yeah,
hopefully we don't have to see that.
but and we may.
We will.
It's possible.
Yeah,
That's not gonna do it. Look at what I've done. I'm also gonna go down to 5. So what a sad lot we are, huh?
Really, it's only one life that counts.
Hopefully I'll be able to attend some of these Fridays.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't sure if you were going to be here. I'm glad to see you are. You know, wouldn't have gotten the Armageddon otherwise. But I was wondering if it would fit into your schedule since it's not your usual day.
Yeah, it does not fit into my schedule, but I made an exception for the first one here. Definitely want to see it do well.
That's awesome. All right,
Shout
good.
it out about it and help spread the word.
Yeah, definitely.
Usually if I'm doing that, I try and go to the event. I mean, I don't like to 2, 4, 5.
Advocate for things and not
Yeah, it's kind of.
soup yourself.
Ooh, this is hot garbage. I will have to keep it.
I'm gonna go to 4 because that's my life right now. I wish I kept the 7 now, but thought the deck could do better. Clearly, the deck did not want me to mull. Yeah, no colored mana in that hand, so we weren't going to do very much.
So it makes it tough. I feel like I'd like to have post-tournament political conversations with you. I'm pretty sure you come from a very different perspective than I do. I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I tend to like good conversations.
Just had a conversation with a guy that doesn't think there should be men and women's athletics. He thinks men and women should be able to compete on the same level.
I'm gonna keep this.
Really an interesting conversation.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I don't agree with that myself, but I can see the like I play actually mixed ultimate frisbee, so it's like 4 guys, 3 women usually, and so
great.
and I think that because I mean there are biological differences that exist that tend to exist between people, you know, of different sexes.
That is the whole conversation. His ideology doesn't let him see that. His ideology has it that is a social construct. That our society is inherently corrupt, and that's why those exist. That's why any potential differences exist.
Yeah, I don't think that's
It's not true.
yeah, I don't think
it's
it
an
is.
anti-science perspective. It's pretty tough. Like gender studies is not food biology. Think about that.
Well,
I'm just saying.
probably should, you know.
It couldn't. It wouldn't exist. It's not. It's just an ideological. Like we're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's good, and any kind of study should be more open-minded than that, you know. Sure.
A very interesting conversation.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind talking more about that. But I can see the desire for, you know, for like equality and fairness to everybody, but I don't think that's the way to go about it.
Yeah, I just think equality of outcome is murderous. I think like the only way you can have
No, you want equality of opportunity more than equality of outcome. But
I think you only want equality of opportunity.
I think that one of the things that people disagree on is what exactly constitutes equality of opportunity. Like, what sort of thing should be, or should any things be provided to people in order to give them equality of opportunity, or is existence enough of an equality of opportunity? There's kind of a spectrum between those two things.
Let's see.
Ponder.
Oh! Get on! As we from Pittsburgh say, get off! That's really sweet.
Thinking for a sec.
Sure.
Right on, or get on.
It's called my spirit.
This looks like the perfect play mat to play like
Actually, I'm gonna do this. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay. Gonna draw. Play planes. Gonna pass the turn. Thanks. Okay.
Crack.
I don't remember.
On the stack. Crack for. It's actually gonna just be black. 6 black floating.
Sure.
Infernal.
Very well positioned.
Yeah, I think the quality of outcome
Yeah, they're wasting my time. Yeah, early waste.
can literally only be achieved through like famine and death. Like every system creates massive winners. That doesn't mean that everybody doesn't win more than they would otherwise, but it does create, like the NBA gives us all entertainment, but you have superstars that make millions and millions of dollars.
Right, and then there's the people making the minimum, right? And so there's
Well, I'm saying as a society we get to watch that, and it's
Oh,
wonderful.
okay. I was
So
thinking
we
about like
all
within
end
the
up
players
better.
player group, yeah.
But you still have, even though league minimum is
Very, very good. Yeah, I was thinking of a different subset.
yeah, no, but so we're all better off, even though there are people who are making many, many millions more than we'd ever make in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
That's
0, 0. All the zeros. Storm count right now is 2, right?
the storm count is 2.
Infernal Tutor and a nod.
Yeah, is that enough? That's enough. 2, 3. We can still do it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I have to have I have multiple lands, so I have to get an LED. So I'm at 10.
There you go.
What a depraved.
That worked out.
What a depraved act. Alright. So storm of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I actually don't even have to. I had a black floating, so I'll go to 4 black.
I did not.
2, 4, 6, 8. Rituals +2 on the storm. 10 black.
Bigger and angrier.
Duress. And I'm gonna Infernal. If you want to scoop in response to the Duress, I'm gonna Infernal.
Yeah, I
for
think
the Eagles.
I'll scoop in response to the duress. All right.
Yes. Yeah, turn 2 on a Molda 5.
Whenever he's watching you play that, you're my copy.
When you pondered, I saw the line to go for the turn 2, assuming ad nauseum didn't go horribly wrong.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
Yeah, ad nauseum went fairly well, actually.
Had to go like really wrong, but
Yeah. But yeah, like the kid's ideology was literally blinding him from any type of thought exercises. Because he'd be like, oh, well, it's because of lower expectations. And I'm like, I mean, in swimming, like Olympic swimming, the fastest woman in the world, like the world record holder, literally would be slower than any man that competed in the Olympics last year.
So wait,
Like,
game 1? Oh yeah.
like how is that low expectations? Like, it's literally the same sport, with the same trainers a lot of the time. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, well, I don't think they have as good trainers as the men. It's like, I don't know how you can say that. I'm like,
Well,
don't
it's
know
just,
anything
there's
about Olympic
there's
swimming.
no way to validate that idea.
No, there
right?
is. There is. It's expertise. Like, it's a knowledge claim. You'd have to be like, because there's knowledge claims
Oh
and there's
well,
scientific
well, yeah.
claims.
I mean, he's talking out of his ass until he has like actual data to back that up. Is what I mean. Yeah.
So that's the challenge there. It's like,
Yeah.
the devil is always in the details, and people don't want details. They want, like, that's the whole point of an ideology, is like it lets you zoom out and have all the answers.
Yeah, we were talking
Like, it's this low resolution way of seeing the world.
Well, and anywhere on the political spectrum, that is the case. You know, if you ignore the details of situations and ignore the wrinkles in reality that don't fit neatly into pre-constructed notions, then you are either going to end up you're going to end up not addressing them, and you're going to end up with a thought process that isn't reflecting reality. Like, how is that going to generate anything useful or meaningful?
Well, I mean, I think there's something to be said for the idea of, like, followers of a postmodern perspective, which is there's no such thing as truth, and people are just identified by their groups, and groups are just battling for power, and like it just undermines the whole concept of individuality. Like, you are a white male, cis or not, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Like that would be the box that you get to be put in, and you don't speak truth, you speak on behalf of your group.
better than I thought it would be.
And there's
That's
a
for
lot
sure.
of people who think that's the way the world works. And there's just power games. There's no knowledge, because you can't have knowledge, because it's all subjective and everybody has their own individual experience, and that is their truth, and there's no such thing as truth. It's, it's dangerous.
I think that leads to disassociation from reality. That can be really dangerous.
It is. It's very dangerous, but that's the thing. It's like I was speaking to a guy, I really like him a lot. We were out at dinner, and I told him, I was like, hey, this Friday I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with someone who's really far apart with on politics. I'm actually really far apart from a lot of people in name, but when we talk, usually we end up agreeing, because I try and find common ground. Like, I'm actually an anarchist, so I think that law should be emerging organically through the English common law system. I think that's how law should. I don't think legislation's ever valid. I don't think, like, I'm happy that gay marriage is legal now. In general, I really don't think that it should be a matter of law. Like, I think the problem in the first place was that someone could pass a law being like, nope.
Yeah. No,
that to me is the problem.
Right. I mean,
So
the fact that there were like legal sort of mechanisms that were available to certain couples and not
Legisla-
others. Yeah, as a result of legislation.
Legislation is a problem. Like it has to. Like law emerges when you and I have a problem. We go to a judge, and then we hash it out, and the judge passes a verdict. And the reason we do that is because we don't want to literally fight to the death. So it's like that's the most civilized way of handling it, and that's why like in our system is like directly descended from that. We still use most of it. Like this, judges still cite precedent from other cases. They're like, well, this is the way it's been done in the past. This is how it works. And like the law is the language as. I'm sorry, law is to society like a dictionary is the language, where it's just like the dictionary doesn't get to make up the definition of words and tell you what they're supposed to be. It just tells you how people use words. They're like, yeah, this is what people mean when they say that.
It's descriptive. It's not creative.
Exactly. So that's the problem. You give all these chimpanzees freaking machine guns and let them start slamming around their ideologies. It's like, oh, this is gonna be a weird video now.
It's gonna be a strange video. I'm gonna ship this.
I'm gonna try it. It's super dicey. But yeah, that's. I really like. There's a few Magic players that I'm like, I really should talk to them because I'm certain there's going to be common ground. Because I actually think most people are anarchists. They just don't view the world that way, because you literally live like 90% of your life in anarchy. Like nobody gets to tell you who to marry or what to eat for breakfast. You know what I mean? It's all just like voluntary action.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite intellectuals is an anarcho-syndicalist, which is Noam Chomsky.
Yeah,
you know, so
I actually had a little email conversation with him a while back.
Cool.
And I was shocked that he responded. I was like, holy crap, how does he not have something better to do? And we talked for a while, and I had asked if he had ever put anything out regarding the the Austrian economic libertarian perspective that was emerging at the time, that like Ron Paul was gaining traction and his son was getting traction, and other people were starting to gain at least some credibility. Like Peter Schiff ran a Senate campaign, and like there were people who were in the Austrian school, which is basically like a laissez-faire. Like, here's another thing I think that we will have constant bloodshed until we separate economy from state. Like, separating religion from the state was one of the most important things that's ever happened in human history. And that's because different groups recognize, they're like, you know what? Your religion is still wrong, but we can't keep doing this. Like, we can't keep using this weapon on each other because you get the upper hand and we get the upper hand, and it's just a disaster. And, like, it's the same thing with economics. Like, I think there in no way should the state be involved in economics. I think you set ground rules for property rights that emerge through common law, and that's it. Like, you just enforce property rights, and you're done.
I brought this in.
So, like, if you do that, you can't have IP. Like, that doesn't work. Does that look?
it is not great. Yeah. It's not going to be a great video in terms of gameplay because I don't get to keep anything. I don't get to keep any
they
cards.
were just talking about Chomsky.
Yeah, it's
it was
fine.
a weird one. It was a weird one. We don't know what the other guy was playing. It was definitely out of planes.
He just got a mulligan and then conceded. Yeah, no, it's definitely. I have like conflicting impulses, kind of, and I recognize that they are in tension with one another. You know,
Yeah, well, that's why conversations are so important.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like,
totally, and I feel like it's important to acknowledge that so that you can actually have conversations that are constructive and can lead you to have progress toward actually figuring things out. All right, we'll go to 5 here. Because on the one hand, I definitely have like, I think that individual freedom is extremely important, and then at the same time, there are definite advantages to having like systems exist, like economic systems, right? And then the issue is that the systems that we have right now are so intertwined with systems of governance, like economic systems and governing systems, and it's difficult. Like on the one hand, I'm like, oh, you should work within the system with what we have to try to figure out a way to make it more efficient and serve people's needs better. Then on the other hand, it's like, It's like burn it all down, and then I have like these.
Oh Jesus, no!
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah.
I mean, not like actually burn it all down, but
No. Like I don't think you can get rid of things until you have something better. Like I just look to obsolete stuff. Like that's why I'm very pro Bitcoin and Uber and even things like eBay, where it's just like, oh, eBay, it's not a legal system; it's a reputation-based system. Like things like Yelp. Like the more people latch on to reputation-based systems, the less you need, like all of this oversight from a state where it's just like, oh, you need this license and that license, and you need, if you're gonna braid hair, you literally need in some states it's like $20,000 certification to braid hair. It's like, how dare you?
what the heck?
Yeah, because you're considered a hairdresser and you have to go through a multi-year training to actually get a certification to do that. And I'm like, that's a violation of human rights as far as I'm concerned. Like there's people who like come over from Africa, and this is literally their life. Like their grandmother and their mother and now them.
It's their profession, right?
It's been passed down, not even necessarily professionally, but like it's just their tradition. And they get here, and then it's just like people love other cultures, and they're like, oh, like this is fun. Like let's meld. That's what this country's about. So it's like, can you braid my hair? And it's like, sure. And then like it gets going, and then it's like, yeah, that's a crime. Like you're getting shut down because you don't have all of these things, and it's like, well, I don't have 20 grand to pay for that, so I guess I have to stop.
That seems ludicrous. That can't be the actual number, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll look up and find it's not every state. Some states, that's the thing that kills you, is some states there's zero certification necessary. Like you can legally do it without it, but you don't necessarily get people wanting to go to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people are like, oh, it's sketchy. I'll go to the certified person, and it really hurts your business prospects.
Yeah, so go to like a Fantastic Sam's or something instead of going to, wherever.
We even have the old conspiracy one. We decided that one.
Sure, I'll keep.
All right.
This is the ugliest one. We need to have the ugliest one that makes people
We'll
mad.
keep that on top.
That's
All right.
the point. That's the pleasure.
Toon go.
Look at these different quarters. This is a mess.
Preordained.
You got it.
Yeah. I had a Ford whiteboard.
Yeah, I feel like it's much healthier to approach these kinds of things from a problem-solving perspective, where you say, okay, we have goals, we have problems that we're, dealing with. What are the solutions in terms of, or like the possible solutions in terms of policies that we can use? And when people make judgments on policy objectives or policies that people are considering purely based on whether they align with the ideology they have, I think that it leads to conversations that could be fruitful and could lead to things actually getting done, not happening.
There's definitely an element of that.
Yep.
I do think, though, I don't actually propose using the state just because I feel like it's really dangerous to tinker with big systems.
Totally.
Like if you there are people who can't manage their own life, who think that they can reconfigure the whole system. And it's like your life's a disaster. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how dare you think that you could just control this thing that's in everybody's life? And yes, that thing, more than one spell.
Yeah, one per turn. So what that one means. Yeah, no, it's totally resolves. No monetides being cast over here.
Guess what was on top? You go. Got my win condition. 2.
Oh,
That's where this is headed. Whoa. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponent control enter the battlefield tapped. Huh.
I would have still played Magic. The card didn't have.
So you like?
I like it.
I'm trying to think if I want to fetch now.
Mm-hmm. On the stack.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
2 in hand?
2 in hand.
I'll fetch.
Sounds good.
Understand the logic they're working with, Micah. And literally find it just program and bumps.
Yeah, she's gonna be fine.
And paying them with peanuts.
We'll get him for one.
I'll push her.
Oh. Bye bye.
That's
Alrighty.
two. Untap. Draw.
Mm-hmm.
Judge foil, force will. There are 5 different
Guess it's your go.
Yeah, that was great.
I mean, I like it. There's an F&M promo. I don't really know. Everything's up in the air right now. There's 5 different parts.
It's just like one card.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
It seemed better than like Swords of Plowshares. It's just more proactive.
Well, if you can land and then put walk on the like
Yeah, he's a huge block.
It's 2 different fatal push parts within like months of each other.
I don't know if it's a flavor fail or a flavor
Oh, no, we
win.
have days right here.
That I have 2
Yeah, I actually don't know.
I'm really not sure either. I have very mixed feelings about it.
Because they're the same reality, right? They're not like different Innistrods.
No,
Like,
no,
it's
they're
just the same
it's like
character.
it's like
later on.
different points in her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I guess.
What kids?
Number 3.
Yes, I will.
My deck just shit on me. Game 2.
Bounce her.
2-2-1.
That's not. Actually, they're on 4.
Oh, sorry.
Not ideal.
1-2-1.
To be honest, I didn't really get got by it. I was thinking you
Go ahead.
said 2-1 and hit 1.
I'm really curious to know what's going on over there.
Yeah, I need more Pro Moxes.
Okay, that's fair.
Definitely gonna be sideboarding more of that.
Well, fortunately, I'm really helping you.
I know, that's what I was saying. I think the Ancient Doom is gonna do a lot. Values in, yeah. Blink.
Got there that time. All right, go ahead.
Push the Thalia.
I did that on purpose.
It's a lot of interaction you got over
I
there.
know. Quite a lot. Too much. You have 4 in hand?
Yeah, we're doing all right for a mold of 4, I will say.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
I think you should simulate shuffling online.
But on real life, they should just
God.
get rid of the.
You should just use electric card shufflers.
You would like to have that, I guess, huh?
Yeah, no, it helped.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Built-in deck shufflers.
And you can play standing up.
Preeminent Captain.
Whenever he attacks,
I
yes.
put a dude on the field.
Yep.
In for 1. Go ahead.
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, like, I like it. And like, it's not just
That's
like,
exactly
like,
what
I actually get it. I legitimately enjoy practicing.
You win, but I'll let you have it.
Good time.
I don't
I'm at 10.
Purples target me.
Oh dear. Okay. I'll give you a 1 storm cap. That's good.
Yep. Nice. We're there. We're going off the bus. Lotus Petal.
Uno.
2, 4, 6, 7 in graveyard. Cabal Ritual.
If it's a Q, it makes sense.
Where do you draw the land? Where do you draw the land? Like, what point is the power of 2 like, I just think like cut out.
Infernal Tutor.
Well, I was trying to get those.
Revealing Cabal Ritual.
Sure.
$70 to get like a 500 card bin. Just $50. Whatever you want.
Oh yeah, no, like it's. That's actually the damage.
And at the last second, got invited to one of the barbecue.
Very good.
Smokers and all. I was in my glories.
Ball ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Ball ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes to 5.
Yeah, no.
Tendrils is now lethal. There it is. Games.
Made a big mess.
Would have been nice to start with 7 cards at some point, but
Yeah, that was gruesome. Yeah, at least the Ancient Tomb, like if you had a chalice, that would have been a much different game.
yeah, I mean, a couple of the 6s and 5s that I was looking at were like a bunch of do nothing attackers, and I was like, there are 4 chalices, 4 thalias, there's an Eidolon of Rhetoric. Like there are things that we have that can do stuff, but I was just not seeing any of them in any of the games.
Answer yes or no questions.
Yeah, no, that'll do.
Okay.
Cut a bunch of bombs,
Not totally gone.
brought in the Eidolon of Rhetoric, and 2 Rest in Pieces. I wasn't sure how important the graveyard loop was. I didn't see it game 1, and there's not a lot of red.
No, there's less. Yeah. So I moved the empty into the sideboard.
That's interesting. A lot of, I guess the format is slowing down, so people don't feel the need to go crazy.
How did this end up going?
I got it.
He got it
Two?
in 2.
And there's some synergies, but they're like
Yeah, so I moved the empty into the sideboard. Actually went with a few copies because I had to jam this together right before the start of the tournament.
Yeah, me too.
My thought process was empty in the main was really about check pile because you don't want to fire off the tendrils when they've got a Leovold out because they can just draw into their flush storm. Because all of the copies go on the stack, all of his triggers go on the stack, and then they draw all the cards before any of the copies are resolved. So that was a blowout. Like you literally couldn't just tendrils them if they had mana open, and they often had mana open. Just because like that's how good.
Death Ray Shaman.
Like being able to carve out like that was. Like they didn't really like morph into like a turn 2 Leovold deck. Like they played a couple of copies and they would get him down when they were ready. You know what I mean?
Well, and they could slow you down with like Hymn to Turok and you know a lot of different things
they
that
had
would be disruptive.
Other meaningful plays.
Yeah.
They wanted to make sure that you didn't have it in hand and then you can't draw into it. You know what I mean? Instead of just being like, oh, let's stop him from getting it, and it's like, well, he already has ritual ad nauseum. You're screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you went after it right away, it would have been a different story. So that particular example is not good. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. So yeah. I think the Chrome Moxes I think are very interesting in their ability to get rid of clunky sideboard cards, and I was thinking that they would also help with all of the clumping of like the extra preordains and the extra Thoughtseizes, because I went up 1 Thoughtseize and then 2 preordains.
Was this as a replacement for Gitaxian Probe, essentially?
Yeah. So Probe ended up being 2 preordains, a Thoughtseize, and a Chrome Mox. Those were the 4 probes. Because I really feel like you get hands where you've got like a bunch of blue cards and like you have Infernal, and you're like, oh, well, if I just keep using blue cards to find blue cards, like I can't ever use the Infernal, so you have to convert them into rituals, which you know happens a lot. But like, it sucks when you ponder and you're like, well, I could keep a preordain. I've got the mana, but like I'd rather just see a new card, you know what I mean? And then it's like, but that's not going to be as kind of, you're basically doing a random shuffle compared to ponder, draw preordain, you know, preordain maybe into another blue card. And like,
Preordain is just a really strong cantrip, so that makes perfect sense, you know.
Like it's nice to be able to keep them and just keep digging.
Yeah, and to also like kind of sculpt your draws, right? Where like Ponder can have those awkward ponders where there's like 1 card that you really want and there's 2 cards that you do not want whatsoever. I mean, obviously, if you have shuffle effects like a fetch land or something, then that particular issue can be solved. But sometimes you don't. And Preordain lets you say, okay, let me get rid of this card I don't want, keep the one I do, and you know, can really smooth out what you are working with.
Like
Which,
5 or 6 of those.
I mean, makes a lot of sense to me. I feel like Storm's in a really good place right now.
I think Storm will be fine. I don't think Probe was really like.
It was useful.
It was fine. It was fine. Like it was just kind of fine. Like it gave you some really interesting low percentage situations where like I've been in situations where I'm like, all right, well, I need to like probe. I need to like hit a probe and then probe into probe. And then I can win. And like you do that, and you're like, well, that was just sick.
Yeah.
Like probe into like LED or something, and you're like, oh, there's my 3 storms.
Yeah, it worked. How about that? Yeah.
You know, because like otherwise you're gonna be like, well, I can empty for like 12 goblins right now, but it's probably not good enough. And like, or I can just kill them. I'd rather do that.
Yeah, and let me just do this thing that takes like no resources besides my life total. You know?
But yeah, I feel like in Storm, like the hands where you had like 2 probes to start, those were somewhat punishing. Like you're trying to ad nauseam and you're taking 4 damage right out of the gate.